at you in the past and you've always shouted back. You respond, you shout back. And then afterwards you think, oh no, I shouldn't have said that. Why did I say that? It's too late, yeah? So when we're not mindful, we have a situation, we react to that situation, and then the awareness comes in. And that reaction comes from your unconscious mind. So, and that unconscious mind is all your habits and all your past experiences and all your past patterns. But when we're being mindful, when we're present in the moment, that situation arises. But we give ourselves this mindful gap. And then we can respond. So the awareness comes before our response. So somebody shouts at us, we're being mindful. We have a choice. Either I shout back at them or I don't shout back at them. But we have that awareness. Somebody's shouting at me. I have a choice. I have this awareness. Now I can respond. And you're responding from here. You're responding from your conscious mind. You're making a conscious decision. Okay, I'm still going to shout at them. Okay, then you shout at them. Or you say to yourself, no, shouting never works. I'm not going to shout at them. So when we're being mindful, you have the stimulus, your awareness comes first, and then you respond from your conscious mind. But you can only do that when you're being present in the moment. When our mind is going backwards and forwards, somebody shouts at us, instantly we shout back from our unconscious mind, because that's what we've always done. But when you're in the moment, when you're present, you can catch that. You can catch the awareness, oh, no, I'm not going to shout. And you may think that, you know, that awareness is a big gap. It takes 1/6 of a second to make a decision. 1/6 of a second. Not even a whole second. So it doesn't mean somebody shouts at you, then you have to stand there and just let it whir over in your mind. What am I going to do? What am I going to do? Oh, I won't shout back. It isn't like that. Somebody shouts at you, 1/6 of a second we can decide not to do. The awareness is there. But it can only be there when we're present in the moment. So most of the time we're on this autopilot, we sleepwalking through life. And the sleepwalking means that we're not conscious of what's going on because we're not present in the moment. So it's like driving the car. When you first start to drive a car, you're always looking at the gear. Well, what gear am I in? And then after a time, you don't have to look. You know, it's all stored in your unconscious mind. I can just do it. And then we just drive and our mind floats off and we think about holidays and we think about nice things and we think about the lovely weather. And then all of a sudden, oh, I'm here. And when you left to when you're there, your mind has not been mindful the whole time. You've like been sleepwalking. And that's what we're like through life. We're just walking through life like this. We're missing what's going on around us because we're not present in the moment. We're not making good decisions because we're reacting instead of responding. So mindfulness gives you the opportunity to take control back of your life, to take control of your environment, to take control about how you respond to things, how you act. But again, we can only do this when we're present in the moment. When we're daydreaming or sleepwalking, we can't. We're like zombies. And that's how we go through our day. And particularly if you come into work at the same time every day and you do the same job every day and you see the same people every day and the same people are saying the same things every day, of course our mind gets bored. And so then our mind starts wandering off and telling little stories to ourselves just to give a little bit of interest. But if you're present in the moment, when you're driving into work, you'll see different things. This tree is different. Now all the leaves are out on the tree. Oh, look at this bird. But because you're not there, you're missing all of that. When you come into work, yeah, maybe you see the same people, but those people are different. They have different emotions on different days, different feelings, but you're missing that. Because in your head, oh yeah, that was the same person as yesterday. So it can make your life more interesting and it can make your life, give you more control your life, when you're being mindful, when you're bringing yourselves back into the moment. So that's what mindfulness is. Mindful, in a nutshell, is that our minds, oh, I've broken it, but our minds are in the present. They're not in the future or in the past. We're just accepting and acknowledging what's going on. And we're doing it in a non-judgmental, we're not judging. So this is another thing that we are great at. I mean, there's two things that we don't have to be taught in life. One is judging and criticizing, and one is controlling. These are skills that nobody teaches us at school. Our parents don't teach it, but boy, are we good at it. You know, we could get a degree in it, or even an MBA in criticizing. I mean, we are that good at it. So with mindfulness, we're not doing that. We're not judging this moment. We're just being present with this moment. Yeah? We'll have questions at the end, okay? So how does mindfulness work? So let's just quickly whiz through this. So there are 3 different parts of our brain. So at the back part of our brain, we have the amygdalas. So this is in our reptilian, the oldest part of our brain. Now, whatever we take in through our eyes, whatever we see, whatever we hear, whatever we smell, whatever we taste, whatever we touch, remember these are the only way we can interact with the world, through these 5 senses. First of all, they have to go through your amygdalas, okay? Whatever, when it comes into the brain, they're always filtered through this reptilian part of the brain. So because it's the reptilian part of the brain, the oldest part, it was there to keep us safe. So, many hundreds of thousands of years ago, when there was wild animals, it was that kept us alive. If we didn't have the amygdalas, we wouldn't be sitting here now. We wouldn't be a human race, because we would have been wiped out. So they had a great job to do, and they still have a good job to do. If you go to step out into the road and a bus is coming, then you jump back without thinking, oh, it's a bus and it's big and it's coming fast. By the time you think it would have hit you. So we step out and the amygdalas tell us jump back. So we jump back like that. So they're great at that. So they're there to keep us safe. So in that way, they're good. But in another way, they don't know the difference between anxiety and stress and feelings of being overwhelmed. They still see them as danger. And once they sense danger, they shut down. And they don't allow information to come to the front part of our brain where we do our thinking. So when you go into an exam, I don't know if it's just me, but when I was at school, I was rubbish. And I would go into an exam and I wouldn't have studied anything. And I'd turn the paper over and I'd read the first paper. And then I would freeze. I was like, like that. That's your amygdala. Your amygdala has made you freeze. So all the amygdalas can do, it's called your fight or flight or freeze. So when you've got a wild animal coming, you have these choices. Either I'm going to run, or I'm going to fight with it, or you just freeze and just pretend to not move and hope it goes by you. So your amygdalas do that, and they do that to keep you safe. But you don't want that when you're at work. When you're under pressure at work and you've got a deadline and you've got to work hard, and the more you're working hard, the more stressed you're becoming. And the more stressed you're becoming, the more the amygdalas think, this is danger, I'm shutting down. And then we can't think. So at the one time at work where we really need to be thinking and really need to put all our effort into work, we can't because we've got stressed. So mindfulness practices stops that, and the breathing awareness practices I'll show you will stop this. They'll relax them. We call them the security guards because they stop and keep you safe, but we don't want them stopping just when we're stressed or when we're under pressure. So when we do mindful breathing, it just relaxes them, and when they're relaxed, okay, let the information come through. And the second part of our brain is the emotional part of our brain. So again, when we become overly emotional, when we become really sad, or when we become really lonely or really angry, then again we can't think straight. All of us have been angry at some time or other. And when we're angry, we can't help it. We just say things. These things just come out of our mouth. I mean, later on we can regret them, but they just come because we're angry. And it's again because no information is coming through to the front part of our brain. So the emotional, the limbic system stops information going through. Again, with mindfulness, when you acknowledge and accept that I'm having this emotion at this moment, it already starts to lose its power. Once you focus on something, so once you focus on that anger, it will suddenly go down if you start looking at your anger. So if you start accepting, okay, you know, I'm really lonely today. So, okay, I accept that. I acknowledge I'm lonely and I accept I'm lonely. So what can I do to stop me being lonely? So again, mindfulness helps relax that limbic, that emotional part of your brain. So the third part of the brain, this is where we want to be. We want to be here. We want to be in our prefrontal cortex or our neocortex, because it's here we do our planning, we do our organizing, we do our creativity. When you're at work, this is where you want to be. When you're in an exam, this is where you want to be. So when by doing mindfulness breathing, we can relax our amygdalas and let the information come through. When we're emotional, we can acknowledge and accept and let the information come through. Once we let the information come through, we can plan, we can organize, we can arrange, we can sort things out. But once the information has stopped getting through to here, there's nothing we can do. So when you get stressed, then you get more stressed because you're stressed, and then that gets into anxiety. And if you don't deal with that, that goes into depression. And depression is not a place where we want to be. Depression is a very, very deep, dark pit. It's really hard to get out of. So we don't want to get there. So mindfulness practices helps us to not get anxious, or if we are anxious, then it gives us ways of dealing with that. Did I skip one? So what are the benefits? So let's just quickly go through the benefits. So the physical benefits of mindfulness: improve your breathing. So once your breathing slows down, your heart slows down. Once your heart slows down, it slows the blood down. Once that slows down, your blood pressure slows down, then you calm down. So breathing is a huge part of mindfulness. Yeah, it lowers your heart rate. It improves your circulation. It stabilizes your blood pressure. You get a better and more peaceful sleep. You know, if you go to bed stressed, how are you going to sleep? What happens? You know, I'm at work and there's so much going on and people have said horrible things to me. I'm going to sleep. I close my eyes. What's the first thing that happens? Those start coming back. Why did that person say that to me? I'm not like that. Why is that at work? All these keep washing round in our head and we can't sleep. So with mindfulness, if we've been mindful, if we've dealt with everything, then we get a better sleep. So we use mindfulness for chronic pain and particularly for cancer patients. So when people come with cancer, particularly people who have no hope, people who are definitely going to die of cancer, they tend to, when we've got pain, we fixate on it, yeah? You know, your body, you're not worried about your body at all at the moment. You're sitting, you're relaxed. But if you had a bad knee or you had a bad back, where's your thoughts? Your thoughts are there. Oh, pain, pain, pain. And the same with cancer patients. They focus on the pain. So with mindfulness, we teach them ways of dealing with that so they don't focus on the pain, so their life doesn't become just about the pain. So it's very good for chronic pain. And it increases your energy levels. There's nothing worse than being stressed and anxious because it just takes all our energy away from us. We just can't be bothered to do anything. So when we've dealt with that, then of course our energy levels come up. So the mental benefits are, it's an antidote for depression and anxiety. It enhances empathy. Now, compassion and empathy come as a natural part of mindfulness. You don't have to practice empathy and compassion. You know, when we're talking to people, we're not listening usually. They're talking. They've said one or two words and you think, oh yeah, I know what he's going to say. So you've stopped listening to him and now you're thinking what I'm going to say back. So now you're thinking, I wish he'd stop talking so I can say it back. So there's no empathy there. But when we're being mindful, we listen. We listen. And when they've finished talking, then we make a decision in this 1/6 of a second and we talk back. So then, because you're doing that, then naturally empathy and compassion just building you. It's just natural. So they become a natural part of mindfulness. You should try that. You should try actually listening to somebody, and particularly people who get on your nerves. So maybe somebody at work who's always going on and on and on and on. So then try to just listen to them. Because once you listen to them, you may see what they're actually trying to say to you. Behind all that rubbish they're talking, maybe they're upset, maybe they're sad, maybe they're trying to put a different point of view across. But because you're not listening, you miss that point. Remember, communication isn't just about words. It's about body language. It's about posture. It's about eyes. Yeah. So give it a try. So it decreases irritability and moodiness because we're in control of our life. It improves our learning ability and memory because we're from here. So what happens is that when we learn from here, if we allow ourselves to think a moment and reflect, it will go to our hippocampus, which is our long-term memory. This is just short-term memory. If we just stop here, then it won't go through. So if we just think about things, we read something, think about it for a moment, it will go to your hippocampus and it will stay with you. It increases our emotional stability and it improves our self-compassion. So I said about empathy and compassion, that was for other people, but it also improves our own self-compassion because we get to know ourselves. You know, once you've stopped and acknowledged and accepted something, you're actually looking at yourself. And then you can say to yourself, so why am I feeling like this? What can I do to help myself? That is self-compassion. And if you want to be a compassionate person, first, you have to have self-compassion. Because if you don't have compassion, how are you going to give? How can we give something we don't have? So self-compassion is so important. We must start with ourselves. And I'm not talking about, you know, narcissism like President Trump or something like I love myself. It's about being accepting myself and, you know, getting to know myself, not getting to fall in love with yourself. Yeah. That's different. That's not mindfulness. So the biggest cause of our emotional and physical pain these days is stress. And a lot of that stress is in the workplace. Now, I mean, I don't know here. Are you stressed? So you're like everybody else in the world then? Yeah, everybody just quietly went. Maybe your boss is here, but yeah, I mean, stress, you know, in this day and age, there are so many people. There are more people than there are jobs. So that gives us stress. We know we have to perform. We know we have to keep our jobs. And you know, your company's doing something. There are lots of other companies around the world doing the same thing. So they have to perform. So that's stress. So work causes us the biggest amount of stress in our lives, which then that stress makes us physically ill and also emotionally sick. So the best way to deal with stress is to stop it arising in the first place. Yeah. I mean, if it arises, then we have to deal with it. But if we keep doing that, it's like we're trying to put out the fire the whole time. We let the fire start and then we'll put the fire out. So it's best, don't start the fire in the first place. So this can be achieved by Meditation. So I'm going to teach you this breathing awareness meditation. So you can do it in the mornings yourself, 5 or 10 minutes a day. It says 20 there, but I can see your faces. I put it down. 5 or 10, okay. Actually, it doesn't matter. The length of time is not the important thing in meditation. What is important is regularity. It's doing it every day. We're trying to train the mind. How can we train the mind if we're just doing it every now and again? You know, if you had you'd got a little puppy and you're trying to teach it to sit and you only told it sit every Tuesday, how will it learn to sit? It won't. Your mind is exactly the same. If you do meditation once a week, twice a week, how's the mind going to know what it has to do? You have to do it every day. So the length of time doesn't matter. You're not monks. You don't have to sit for hours on end. 5 or 10 minutes is more than enough, really, as long as you do it every day. Yeah. So that's one way of stopping our stress, is doing meditation regularly. Another way is regular exercise. So I don't mean, you know, going to the gym. It doesn't have to be that. You know, if you live 30 minutes away from here, then walk in the morning, walk in and walk back. That's exercise. Yeah, if there's steps, you know, if there's a lift, don't take the lift. Go up and down the steps. This is exercise. The problem is with this culture that we live in now. I mean, we spend a lot of time on our phones, a lot of time on the screen. We're always looking down. We're not moving. We're not exercising. And of course, that's going to bring on stress. So by doing just simple, if you could do yoga in the morning along with your meditation, it would be perfect. But anyway, any type of exercise is going to stop the stress. There, yoga. You can't get away from it. So yoga is also good. I don't know if yoga, is it big here? No? Okay. Then I'm going to bring my yoga madam over and we're going to make it big. Yoga is a great thing to do because it's not over exercise and it's not like going to the gym. You know, it's just a set of different routines of stretching and that. And it's such a good thing to do. So, I mean, if you can go online and see on YouTube some just basic yoga movement, it is so good for you. Yeah. And of course, mindful awareness. So doing short practices of mindful awareness throughout the day is going to stop stress. So it's not like pick one. You have to do all of them, or at least 3 of them. Yeah. You can't just think, which is the easiest? Oh, I know, I'll do mindful awareness. You have to do quite a few of them. Yeah. So once you're feeling stress, never try to push through it. This is something that we have to learn. Yeah. We get stressed and we think, I don't have time to be stressed. I've got to keep going. I've got to keep going. But actually all you're doing is just making these amygdalas shut down. And then you're never going to be able to do your work. So instead of trying to push through stress, stop and do something. I'm going to show you a few different things you can do now. And you can just stop. 5-10 minutes, just a few minutes, just will stop that stress. If you can just relax the amygdalas, then you'll stop the stress. You'll be able to think properly. Yeah. But don't try to push through your stress. And if you do, it will most definitely turn to anxiety. And if you don't stop there, it will definitely turn through to depression. Yeah. You can't keep forcing the brain. So technology is a wonderful thing. Yeah. And just in my lifetime, that technology is so different. When I was a little boy, we didn't have telephone, not even in the house. There was one person in our road that got one when I was about 4 or 5. And they were like, wow, these rich people. And nobody knew how it worked. And you could just pick up and you can just say, can I speak to so-and-so? And they would connect you through, imagine. And now look how technology has come on. It's great. And you work in IT. But the problem is evolution cannot keep up with technology. If we wanted to catch up with the technology at this moment, It would take us like another 1,000,000 years, and we'll have a fourth part of our brain to be able to cope with the technology now. So just imagine that year on year, this technology gets faster and quicker and quicker. In London now, we've got 5G. I mean, it does it before you think about it now. I mean, it's so quick. Yeah. So then what's going to happen after that? Our brains cannot keep up. They can't keep up with this technology. So something has to give. And if you keep trying to push through, what will give is this, your mind. You will have some depression or some mental illness. So we have to stop. We have to learn how to slow ourselves down. You can't slow technology down. We can slow ourselves down. So we need time when we're doing meditation and exercise and yoga and doing mindful awareness practices, yeah? Because if you don't, you're the one that's going to suffer. And when you have depression, there's no app for that. Let me tell you. Well, not yet. I mean, there may be when AI comes out. So let's look at some mindful awareness exercises then. Okay. So we can start learning about our mind, our habits and happiness by watching our breath. So like I was saying before, the breath is so important. So the breath is the bridge between our mind and our bodies. So if you slow your breathing down, your body relaxes automatically and your mind calms down. If you speed your breathing up, the mind gets anxious and the body gets all stressed. So the breath is the key. So if we can just find exercises just to bring ourselves down, just to focus on the breath. And the breath is wonderful because it's always with us. It's not like we have to go somewhere, we have to buy something new. In mindful awareness, there's nothing to buy. I know I said there's this mindful jewelry. I don't know what it is. But there's nothing we need to buy. You don't have to buy new clothes. You don't have to go and pray to any gods. You don't have to do anything like that. It's all about yourself and looking inward. So the breath is the key. The breath is our anchor. Whenever we go off and get stressed, use the breath to anchor ourselves back. Yeah. Yeah, so there's one exercise here, the 5, 6, 7 breath, which is a great exercise you can do absolutely anywhere. So we breathe in through the nose deeply. So just imagine that you've got a balloon in your stomach and you're breathing in and you blow that balloon up. And as you're breathing in deeply, you count to 5 and then you hold the breath for 6. And then you blow the air out through your mouth for 7, and you keep blowing all the way through till 7. So what you're doing is, when you're breathing in really deeply, you're bringing in lots of oxygen into your body. When you're holding for 6, that oxygen is going all the way around your body, through your bloodstream and through your mind, your brain. Yeah. And when you blow the air out for 7, you're pushing out all that dirty, stale air. Why at the end of the day, you've been in an office all day, and then at the end of the day, we feel a little tired and it's because you've been breathing stale air. And because we don't breathe properly, we breathe in, but we don't breathe out enough air. So what you're doing is trapping all this dirty, stale air in you. So by doing the 5, 6, 7 breath, what you're doing is you're breathing in good oxygen. It's going all the way around your body. And then you're blowing it out through your mouth, getting out all that old stale air. If you do 3, 4 or 5 of these, most definitely your mind will calm down. Now, I taught my sister this 5, 6, 7 breath. She had cancer and she had a kidney out, and then the cancer spread to her spine. So she had lots of operations, lots of problems. She's still alive, by the way. And I taught her the 5, 6, 7 breath. And I said, whenever you start to get stressed, or you start to too much pain, or you can't cope, or you feel like crying, do the 5, 6, 7 breath. And it got her all the way through that, and she still does that. And even when she had her operation, she did that. And when she come out from the operation after taking the kidney out, she just kept breathing. And the doctor said to her, do you want more painkillers? And she was like, no. and she kept doing the 5, 6, 7 breath. So don't think that, it doesn't work. Try it for yourself. Most definitely it works. Yeah. And it's such a simple thing to do. If you're in a big traffic jam, I don't know if you have big traffic jams here, but maybe down in Thimphu you do. So instead of getting angry, just do the 5, 6, 7 breath. Yeah. And for our friends from India, when you're sitting at the traffic lights and it's 90 seconds and then 89 and you're counting down, instead of that, do the 5, 6, 7 breath. Relax. The counting down will come automatic. So in the time it takes for us to do a full breath in and out, we can change our perspective. That's what I'm saying. God, I'm going to get angry. Okay, now I'm not. So, and it works like that, because what it does, we can only think of one thing at once. So when I'm thinking, I'm going to get angry, then I'm going to get angry. But then I think, oh no, I'm going to breathe. So then I'm watching the breath come in, and I'm holding, and I'm watching the breath go out. Now I'm not thinking about anger. I'm thinking about breathing. So now I've already taken my thinking away from anger and put it on to breathing. So that means our perspective changes. We can change our outlook. So the breath is that important to us. So we use the breath. Oh, I said that. So, okay. So people say, no, first of all, how many people meditate here? How many people have meditated? Yeah. No, you meditated. It's okay. Okay, now who does it regularly? That always cuts it down. Yes. Okay. So a lot of the time why people don't meditate is because they don't understand it. Now, in India, they've made it into such an art. And we've got 7 chakras and we've got kundalinis and we've got all these things. And then it just puts people off meditating. Meditation, the point of meditation is to focus your mind on one thing. That's the whole point of meditation. That's how meditation relaxes us. That's how meditation calms our mind down. That's how we're able to do analytical meditation and look at something clearly, because we're focusing on one thing. Now, our mind is going here, our mind goes there, we're always distracted, we're always on the phone, there's always people talking to us. Yeah? So our mind is always jumping all over the place. So with meditation, we're just focusing on one thing. That's it. That's the key to it. Now, you don't have to sit on the floor, cross-legged and sit like that. You're not yogis. You can sit on a chair. These chairs are not good, by the way. Sit on an armless chair. You don't have them. Why these chairs are not good is because if you sit like this and your arms are going to be up, then your arms are soon going to go to sleep, and then you'll be thinking, my arms have gone to sleep, and you won't be thinking about meditating. So an armless chair. But you can do meditation anywhere, yeah. Meditation means you just focus your mind on one thing. If you can keep your back a little straight, it's good, because just so we can breathe. You know, if you're over like that, it's really difficult to breathe. And if you're too like that, then you'll be fast asleep in a couple of minutes. So we just try to keep the back a little straight, yeah? Just so we can breathe. And we close our eyes, and we do that because most of our distraction, our most powerful sense is the eye. So if you're sitting like that and you're just watching your breath and somebody moves over here, then your mind is, well, what are they doing? And then gone. So we close our eyes so we don't get distracted from the outside world, and it means so we can go inside, and that's where we want to be. So that's meditation. Just sit comfortably, get your back straight, close your eyes, put your arms comfortable, put your feet down on the ground, and then just watch the breath coming in and going out, coming in and going out. A thought will come. It's okay. Now, oh, I'm thinking. Now come back, watching the breath come in and going out. That's meditation. Now tell me you can't do it. Because the key thing is sit down. So you can all sit down, yeah? The other thing is close your eyes. You can all close your eyes. And the final thing is breathe. You can all breathe. So then you've got all the ingredients you need to do meditation. So you can't say, I can't do it. You can sit, you can close your eyes, you can breathe. So you can do it all. Yeah. And the more you do it, the longer it will be before a thought distracts you. If we'll do it now for a couple of minutes and thoughts will come. But if you do it tomorrow again, a little less thoughts will come. And each day you do it, less and less thoughts come, which means you become more and more and more relaxed. And even when thoughts are coming, at least you're sitting down quietly, your eyes are closed, and you're not looking at a screen or you're not looking at your phone. At least that's the least of it, that it's taking you away from your screens, yeah, for 5 or 10 minutes. So that, even at the worst, that's what you can be doing. But the more you do it, the more those thoughts will just slow down and won't distract you. And the more that you'll be able to focus on the breath. Yeah. So then let's give it a try. And then, yeah, let's do that. And then from tomorrow, you can, everybody, and I'll be coming round your houses just to check that everybody do it at different times though. Do it in the morning as well, yeah? The morning is particularly when you first start, because if you do it now when you go home, everything that's happened during the day is going to be going round in your head. So at first it's going to be really difficult. So when you do it in the morning, when you get up, before you look at that phone, before you put the television on, before you talk to anybody, just get up and then sit down and then just focus on the breath. Do it for 5 minutes. Yeah. And do it each morning. And you will be the one that benefits from it, not me. I do my own practice. You'll do your practice and you will benefit. So then let's just try. Now sit down and put your feet flat on the floor, because if you cross them a bit, then they may go to sleep in that. And then you don't want any distraction. So just get really comfortable and put your arms wherever you want your arms. It's going to be the most comfortable for the next couple of minutes. I know these armchairs are not very good, but maybe you can sit forward a little bit. Yeah. Okay. So then now just lightly close your eyes. And we're going to start by doing these 5, 6, 7 breaths. So we'll do 3 of these just to calm you down. So breathe in through your nose and hold. And breathe out through your mouth. Breathe in through your nose and hold. And breathe out through your mouth. Breathe in through your nose and hold. And breathe out through your mouth. And now breathe normally. And don't force the breath. Just let the breath find its own rhythm. And just focus on the breath as it flows into the nose and flows back out again. And just leave your attention on that for a moment. And if you get distracted by thoughts, it's okay. Just bring your awareness back to watching your breath. Okay, so just very, very slowly start to open your eyes, but look down on the floor in front of you and just sit there a moment looking down at the floor. And then slowly start to raise your eyes up. Great. So that's it. You've all meditated. So next time anybody asks you, have you meditated? Now you can all put your hands up. If they ask regularly, then you can't. Okay. Once is not regular. So when we open our eyes looking down on the floor, yeah? Because if we're nice and calm and peaceful and relaxed, and then we just open our eyes, then all that calmness can disappear really quickly. So you just look down on the floor and just gently open your eyes and then just slowly lift your head up, yeah? And that way you'll be able to keep the calmness inside. Okay, so this practice is good to do every day, in the mornings particularly. But if you are getting a little bit stressed, it's good to go off and do this. Just find a quiet place. Even the toilet, it doesn't matter where you do it. Somewhere where it's peaceful and quiet and nobody will disturb you, it's okay, yeah? So a major part of mindful awareness is getting to know ourselves. And that's what I was saying earlier on about not criticizing and judging. We're not controlling. We're not looking outside there. We're getting to know us. You know, the only person in the whole world that you can ever know is yourself. You can't know anybody else. You might be married to them for 60 years, but you won't know them. You'll only know what they tell you, and they'll only know what you tell them. Our little deepest, darkest secrets we keep to ourselves. Yeah? So we can only know ourselves. Yeah. So using mindful awareness, we can really get to know ourselves, get to understand ourselves. You know, what are our thoughts, our feelings, and our emotions? Why do I act in such a way? And how can I bring a positive change into my life? Those questions we can only ask ourselves. You can't go and ask somebody else. They won't know. So we use mindful awareness to get to know ourselves. So what should we do if we're starting to feel overwhelmed or anxious or stressed at work? What we should do is stop. Yeah. So S means stop what you're doing for a moment and go to a quiet place and sit down, such as the toilet. But it doesn't have to be. You know, outside, somewhere quiet, you know, anywhere. If you drive, go and sit in your car. I have a lot of guided meditation practices on an app called Insight Timer. And many people say to me, oh, in my work break, I go and sit in my car and meditate using the app. It's okay, yeah. I mean, it doesn't matter where you do it. As long as you're quiet and nobody's going to disturb you, the car is fine. So S means to stop what you're doing for a moment, find a quiet place, and just sit down. T means take those 3 calming breaths, the 5, 6, 7 breath. By doing that, it'll bring you into the present moment. And then the O is just observe what is going on. What are my thoughts? What are my feelings? What emotions do I have at the moment? You know, really just observe what is happening with you. Again, don't judge. Yeah. If you are feeling, you know, irritable or angry or whatever, don't judge that. It's okay. Just acknowledge that I've got it. Accept that you've got it. And don't try to fight against it. Yeah. And then think of the best way to help yourself through it. Again, you know, we can have a long list of things. Well, I have. Yeah, like reading, walking, having a cup of tea, of course, green tea, and taking a rest. All these things. But, you know yourself. What do you need? What's going to help you? I can't tell you because we're all different. And you can't even tell yourself. I mean, you can't say now, okay, yeah, whenever that happens, I'm going to do this. Because our emotions change from moment to moment. Our feelings are changing. Our thoughts are always changing. You know, our bodies are changing. Everything is always moving. Nothing is permanent. So we can't even set for ourselves, I'll do this. We have to look on a moment by moment basis. If I'm feeling stressed and anxious now, what do I need right now? And maybe it's just I need just to sit quietly a moment and just think. Maybe it's I just need to go outside and get some fresh air or just look around at the beautiful mountains. Whatever works for you. Yeah. So observe what's going on and don't criticize and don't judge it. Just accept it and acknowledge it and try to find a way to help yourself through it. And then the P is then proceed, and you can go back to doing what you're doing. But this time you'll be doing it in a mindful way. You'll be present in the moment. Yeah. So that's what you should be doing when you're starting to get anxious and stressed and fearful and burnt out and overwhelmed. Just stop. Don't think, okay, tonight I'll deal with it, because tonight is too late. When you're feeling it, stop and deal with it. Stop what you're doing. Take the 3 calming breaths. Observe what's going on. Help yourself through it and then proceed. Yeah. How am I doing for time? Because usually I talk too much. Yeah, but people start falling to sleep in a minute. If you start to fall asleep, then we're going to do yoga, okay, to wake you up. So don't fall asleep. Okay, another practice that we can be doing is one called cherishing yourself and cherishing others. So again, if you're feeling stressed or overwhelmed, you know, when we're feeling stressed, we do judge ourselves. We are the worst with ourselves. You know, somebody makes a mistake and we say, oh, it's okay, don't worry, it's only a mistake. We make the same mistake and, oh my God, then what is wrong with me? Oh God, you're always making a mistake. Oh, you're mad, you're stupid. We say awful things to ourselves. And actually, by saying those things to yourself, you're actually putting yourself down. You're actually losing your self-compassion. And the more that you say you're stupid, the more stupid you'll become. So we should be really careful about the way we do talk to ourselves. So here we are cherishing ourselves. We have to cherish everybody, but we have to start by cherishing ourselves. Yeah, I mean, like liking ourselves. Yeah. So if you're feeling stressed and overwhelmed, try this practice. So again, find a quiet place, sit down, bring your awareness to your breath. So you can do this again, the 5, 6, 7 breath. And just start to relax and feel calm. Yeah. And then as you breathe, so on the breath, breathing in, you silently say, I have compassion for myself. Or you can say, I cherish myself. Or don't say, I love myself. It would be the wrong thing. I have compassion for myself, yeah? And as you breathe out, you say, I have compassion for others. So like I was just saying, the more you say whatever you say to yourself, the more you become that. The more you say to yourself, I have compassion for myself, then the more compassion you will have for yourself, and the more that you'll allow yourself to make mistakes. We are human beings. There is no such thing as perfect. I don't know who invented that word. It's a stupid word. There is nothing in this world that is perfect. Nothing ever will be. Everything is constantly changing. How can it be perfect? If it was perfect for that second, the next second it's not. So it's just a bad word. And really, it just forces us to try to do something we can't do. We should take that word. Is there a Bhutanese word for perfect? Perfect. See what a great language you have. There's a Hindi word, yeah. Yeah. I don't know. What's the Hindi word for perfect? There is, because I asked that question before and somebody said. No, don't Google it. Anyway, forget it. And if there's not a Bhutanese word for it, then fantastic, you've got a great language. So the more that you say to yourself, I have compassion for myself, the more you will have compassion for yourself, the more that you'll be caring for yourself. the better you'll be able to speak to yourself. And when you have compassion for yourself, you will help yourself. Yeah. So I have compassion for myself, but we can't be selfish. So we have to say on the out breath, we have compassion for everybody. Yeah. That's the Buddhist way. So when you're finished again, slowly open your eyes, look down on the floor, then just gently introduce yourself back. So what you're doing is you're caring for yourself. Yeah. You're having a bit of love and attention towards yourself. We pay a lot of attention to other people, but sometimes we don't pay the right amount of attention to ourselves. And we should, yeah. So by doing this, I have compassion for myself. The more you do it, the more you will have compassion for yourself. And when you feel like you've got compassion for yourself, you'll calm down. That feeling of being overwhelmed and stressed will go away, yeah? Okay, so mindful awareness at work. Is this tea?
Green tea.
Green tea? Oh, excuse me. Okay, so mindful awareness at work. So all these, I'm going to go through some practices, mindful awareness practices that will help you focus, feel less stress, and be more calm. Yeah. So when you're at work, take regular breaks. So you shouldn't be doing more than 1 hour without taking a break. Because the more that you're looking at that screen, the more you're affecting your eyes, and the way the screen flickers is again working against your brain. The screen and your brain are not best of friends. And if you're going to spend more than 1 hour looking at a screen, you're going to start to affect your brain. Yeah. So we shouldn't do more than 1 hour before taking a little break. I'm not saying take a big break. Just take a couple of minutes break, have a glass of water, just walk around the office. If you're walking around the office, don't gossip, because that just loses the point of the break. And go outside, take fresh air, just a short break. If you keep taking these short breaks, what you're doing is you're relaxing your amygdala. So it means you're going to stay focused. It means you're not going to get stressed. If you just keep pushing and pushing and pushing. I teach meditation in a company in Chandigarh. I go in and teach the employees meditation. And sometimes they can't come because they're in a 3-hour meeting. What can they talk about for 3 hours? I mean, for me, that's just mind-blowing. If they did 3 hours of meditation, then yeah, okay, great. But 3 hours of just talking in a meeting about what? You need to stay focused. You can bet your life after the first half an hour, they've switched off. And then they just sit there for 2 hours and they come out. What was that about? Oh, I don't remember. So take regular breaks, because by taking the regular breaks, you're going to calm your amygdalas. You're going to be thinking from here. You're going to be more creative, more productive. And do a check-in with yourself. So it's a bit like we did here, when we started off. So do a body scan. So just lightly scan down your body. We're looking for tension. It's another thing that we don't pay attention to, our bodies. So you're sitting there on the chair that's probably not good for you, and you're looking at this screen and you're focusing on, and you don't move. And then when you go to move, oh, my shoulder hurts. Or when you get home at night and you think, oh, I've got a bad neck and a bad back. So before you get to that point of having a bad neck or a bad back, just every now and again scan your body. Is there any tension? Can I feel tension in my shoulders? If you can, then just work the tension out. Move. That's another thing about taking the 1 hour break, because you'll probably find, I know. So I've written 4 books, and I know when I get involved in writing a book, sometimes I just so focused on that. And then when I go to move, I think, oh my God, I haven't moved for 2 hours. And then I have to move around. So we've got to be careful. So if you take a break every hour, at least it's moving you. And so have a look, check through your body, just quickly scan down your body and see if there's any tension. If there is, then work that tension away. And also look at your thoughts. Are they negative? Are they positive? Again, don't judge them, just accept them. You know, when we're looking at our thoughts, we're just engaging in the present moment. We're just bringing ourselves back. That's what all this is about. Keep bringing yourself back into the present moment. One thing I didn't tell you was that we cannot be present in the moment, be mindful 24/7. It is impossible. So like I said, I've been doing it for years, but I can't stay present in the moment. We have the ability to plan. We have the ability to have memory. So our mind is going to keep popping backwards and forwards. So we have to keep bringing it back present in the moment. So if we were animals, like a dog, so a dog doesn't have that ability. So dogs are very mindful. You won't see a dog wake up in the morning, stretch and look at its watch and think, oh, at 12 o'clock I'll bite somebody. Somebody walks by them, they just bite them. They're very mindful. Also, children are mindful. There's a white wall, there's a crayon, wow. And then they just do it. They just crayon on the wall. They just draw on the wall. Again, it's mindful. They haven't planned to do it. They're not doing it out of mischief. It's just that a wall appeared, a crayon appeared, and then, wow, I'll draw. So children are mindful, but we lose that when we start planning for our 5-year, 10-year, 15-year plan. Yeah. Or when we start thinking back of that wonderful time we had or the horrible time we had. So we can't be 24/7 mindful. So we do have to keep bringing ourselves back into the present moment. And that's what these practices are all about. So stress release. So focus on what is stressing you out. So you know what is stressing you out, or maybe you don't. So then just stop for a moment and focus on what is stressing me out. What is making me stressed? So then take a few deep breaths, like we've been doing, the 5, 6, 7 breath. And then breathe out the stress. So, you know, a sigh. So when I was a kid and I used to sigh, my mum would go, don't sigh. But actually science now, that was my mother, but science now is saying that a sigh is to release tension in our body. And that's why we have it. Now, they didn't know, my mother obviously didn't know, and she wouldn't care anyway, but, you know, so when you're stressed, just take a deep breath in and just let it out. And if you try it, when you breathe in, your shoulders come up, yeah? And when you sigh, everything drops. Just try. So it works. So when you're feeling stressed, just do that. Do a few of those. I mean, be careful where you do. If you're doing it walking down the road, people will think you've gone mad, yeah? But, you know, do it quietly. Oh, this is a big one. So we're told these days that we must be multitasker. And people put it on their CVs, their resumes, yeah. I'm a multitasker. I tell you, if I was the boss and somebody came to me and said, I'm a multitasker, I'll say, goodbye. Because you are never going to get full productivity from a multitasker. A multitasker means I'm not doing anything properly. I'm doing lots of things, but none of it is properly. I'm not giving 100% to anything. You know, there's only 100%, and you can only give 100% to one thing. If I'm trying to do 4 things, you're only giving 25%. So that means the work you're doing is not good enough. So, and what you're doing is putting your mind under huge amount of pressure. Remember I said you can only think of one thing at once. So you're going, I'm thinking this, I'm thinking that, I'm thinking this, I'm thinking that, I'm thinking this. And then of course your mind, something has to give, and it's your mind that will give. Don't be a multitasker. If your boss asks you to be a multitasker, send him to me. I'll give you my email at the end. So, sorry? Then he'll hear me. Or she'll hear me. So you're putting yourself under a huge amount of pressure. If you can't finish a job, okay, then put it to one side and then start something else. And then if you can't finish that, put it to one side. But don't try to do a bit of this and a bit of that and a bit of that, because you cannot give 100% like that. It's impossible. And what you're doing is burning yourself out, and you are not being productive. And why the boss is asking you, because I don't know, but you're not helping him. You're not helping the company by being a multitasker. And you are certainly putting yourself under a huge amount of stress. Yeah? Be a single task person. Be 100% person. So have a gratitude break. So just stop every now and again and just think of 3 things that you're grateful for. They don't have to be big things. They can be that I'm grateful that, I don't have my headache today, or I'm grateful that somebody smiled at me on the way into work, or I'm grateful work is about to finish. That's a good one. Whatever it is, it doesn't matter if it's big or if it's small. When we think of things that we're grateful for, dopamine is released into our brain. That's our happy drug. That's what makes us feel nice and calm and happy. Eating lots of chocolate also does that, but it's not good for the old stomach. So this is a much better way of doing it. So just think of 3 things and calm yourself down. Just become relaxed and become grateful, and you'll become happy. You can just do that. They've done studies, and actually at school, when I teach in schools, I always set up a gratitude wall, and they have post-it notes, and they write things on. And just reading what other people are grateful for also releases dopamine in your brain. So if you're not grateful for anything, ask the person next to you, and you can share in their gratitude, okay? So just think of 3 things to be grateful for. So visualize. So if you're stressed, so say that I'm really sad today. So just close your eyes a moment and just visualize, what would it feel like not to be sad? What you're doing again is taking your fixation away from being sad and you're putting it on something else. So now the sadness has lost its power. If you're angry, just stop a moment. Visualize, what would it feel like? What would my body feel like? What would my mind feel like? What do my emotions feel like if I wasn't angry? It's a great way, if you're getting irritated with somebody, just think, what would it be like not to be? Because just by thinking about that, then you're going to calm yourself down. Just by imagining that I'm happy, then the dopamine will go in your brain. You'll start to relax. You'll start to feel happy, even though before you wasn't. So just whatever you are, visualize the opposite of that. If you're sad, visualize happy. If you're lonely, visualize not being lonely. If you're stressed, visualize what would it feel like not to be stressed. We can bring up emotions in our minds just by thinking, just by imagination. Just think of something really happy now. And then that happiness comes, doesn't it? That happy emotion is there. Even though, it may be that I'm going to win lots of money. And you just think, oh, I'm going to win lots of money. And then you suddenly think, oh, great. And then you open your eyes and you're poor. But, it brings up that emotion in your body. So visualize the opposite to what you are. And do a daily check-in with yourself. Just check in with your thoughts, your feelings. So, this is at the end of the day. So what happens usually at the end of the day is you reach the end of the day, thank God, I turn off my computer or laptop and I get up and I just go home. What you're doing is then, whatever stress, whatever tension, whatever has gone on during the day, you're just taking that home with you. So don't do that. So when you turn off the computer, just sit there a moment and just reflect back over the day. Now, people say we learn from our experiences. That is not true. If that was true, we'd never make the same mistake. and we keep making the same mistakes. So we don't learn from our experiences. We learn from reflecting on our experiences. If we reflect on something, it goes into our long-term memory. So at the end of the day, when you turn off the computer and the laptop, just sit there a moment and just reflect back over the day. What worked today? Because if you look back over the thing, yeah, this worked and that was good and that worked, you're reinforcing it, which means it will become a habit. It'll become a part of you. And then look at the things that didn't work and think, yeah, that didn't work out. Maybe next time I'll try this way. Because the next time it happens, you'll try a different way. We're reflecting, we're learning from the experience we've had during the day. Yeah? And then just take a couple of breaths and then go home. And this time you'll be going home and you won't be dragging work with you because you'd have dealt with it. This is such a great practice. You know, some people, they go home and it's all going through their head and they can't relax because somebody says something to them, or this happened, or I made that mistake. So deal with it before you go home. Just have a look. Just reflect. Reflect on your experiences. That way you'll learn from your experiences and you'll leave work at work, and then you can go home. Work is work, home is home. They shouldn't be the same, yeah. We should have this work-life balance. It shouldn't be work, yeah. I don't know why I put this one in. Okay, I'm not going to do that one. So, how can we do mindful awareness? We're coming to the end now, so don't fall asleep just yet. So how can we do mindfulness throughout the day? So we can do the mindful awareness practice, the breathing practice that I told you, yeah? We can do mindful eating, walking, anything we can do mindfully. I'll say to you now, I'll give you more homework. One bit of homework, right? Do your meditation tomorrow morning. Second bit of homework, and I will be checking, is when you clean your teeth tomorrow morning, do it mindfully. So when you pick up the toothbrush, feel it in your hand first. What does it feel like? When you squeeze the toothpaste out, what does it feel like? Just touch them on your teeth before you brush your teeth. What are the sensations in my mouth? And just feel you brushing your teeth. And then at the end, just close your eyes and just feel all the sensations in your mouth. You'll think to yourself, wow, this is the first time I've ever cleaned my teeth. Because what we usually do, and maybe we're looking or we're moving around or we're doing this and yeah, and thinking and planning, and later on I'm going to do this and tonight I'll have that. And so, I mean, do it mindfully, because by doing things mindfully, it's being us present in the moment. It's making us aware of what is happening in the world. We miss all these things. It's when you're eating your food. You know, you eat so quickly. And these days, we've got the mobile phone in this hand, and we're eating like that, or we're watching television, or we're gossiping. You know, sorry about this. But in India, you go to many, the Indians are very fascinated at the moment with their mobile phone. You go to many restaurants, there'll be like 4 young people sitting, gone out for a meal, and every one of them will be looking at their screen, and they won't be talking to each other. Now, I don't know if they're sending each other messages on WhatsApp or anything, but anyway. So we can eat mindfully. Just chew it. Just the flavors. Leave the flavors in your mouth. Taste those flavors. Whatever you do, try to do once a day something mindfully, really focusing on it. If there's a task you hate doing, so if you like, I don't know, you hate washing dishes, yeah, and you go, oh God, I've got to wash it. I hate washing dishes, and then it just seems never ending. The dishes, they're not going down because we hate doing it. But if you focus on doing it, the water and the washing and that, and you get into it, and then, oh, it's finished. So particularly jobs that you really don't like doing, focus on doing them. Do them mindfully. They will go so much quicker. It's your mind that is making it a horrible job. There's nothing horrible about washing dishes. I mean, you may not enjoy doing it, but if you just focus on doing it, it will go very quickly. Yeah. So try to do something each day mindfully. But tomorrow, it's clean your teeth day, okay? and actually engage in mindful speaking and listening. That's what I was talking about. Really listen to somebody talking to you. Don't listen to a little bit of it and then think, oh yeah, I know what you're going to say, or even interrupt them by giving your answer. Let them finish. I definitely teach this one in schools to the school teachers because children don't have the vocabulary. So sometimes made you jump. So the children don't have the vocabulary. So sometimes they're saying something, but they're actually trying to say something else. So when the teachers are mindfully engaged with them, they can pick up on that. And you can pick up on it. So try mindful speaking and mindful listening. Let people finish and then decide to say. Yeah. Do a mindful scan. So like I was saying, just scan your body, check in with your thoughts and your feelings. Do it every now and again. It's just bringing us back into the present moment. Put little reminders. If you have a computer here or if you have on your fridge, just put a little post-it, breathe. And when you sit, oh yeah, just that brings you back into the present moment. So wherever you go, put little post-it notes so you see them and then breathe. Yeah, it brings you back into the present moment. So you can do the breathing awareness exercise, the stop, the 5, 6, 7 breath, cherishing yourselves. Try those practices out. So don't take your breath for granted. Yeah, just the breath is your best friend where it comes to mindfulness. Yeah, and it is your best friend because it's always going to be with you. Yeah. So try to do your mindfulness throughout the day. When somebody said to me that I can't be mindful, my phone is ringing all day. So I said to him, every time it rings, before you answer, go, no answer. So then the phone now ringing isn't a nuisance to him. It's become his practice. So if the phone rings 20 times during the day, then 20 times he's brought back to the present moment. And by also doing that breathing, when he talks to the person, he's with that person. He's present because he's took the breath. So try to find something you do regularly and put it into a practice like that. So maybe it's every time you put your laptop on or every time you look at your phone. So every time there's a notification, bing, just breathe before you quickly look. It'll be rubbish, you know that. It'll be somebody's food on Facebook or somebody's outside a shopping mall or something. I mean, ridiculous. Well done. You've made it all the way through to the end. So now we have